Okay, so I'm back. This is unimagination from the abstract. I can do that. I'm from the abstract. I can do that. Unimagination from the abstract. I had multiple personality disorder for 32 years. And I did not grow up inside your system. It's your system. It's not mine. I grew up on the outside. And I was also a slave for 40 years. So I learned a different language. And in order to cope with the bullshit that I had to deal with, I lived inside my head for 32 years. The language is different there. So I grew up learning English from Shakespeare. I grew up learning English from Plato, from Plutarch, from Voltaire. I learned my English from Ayn Rand. So I learned how to speak through talking to myself, through the places in my mind and through the great books. And when I finally got out in 2020, it then took me another 2 years to get out of my own mind. So I had to escape the slavery, and then I had to escape my mind, and then I had to translate the words and everything inside of my head, which is abstractic, over into, well, 12th perspective, which is physics. And then I had to translate that into common language. So when I'm talking to people, I am talking in my mind, I am speaking energy. That's my first language, is energy. I speak physics first. Everything to me is physics first, which is why I can understand everything I can understand about spirituality and what's going on, is because physics is my first language, which is energy. Then I learned how to speak abstractic, which is the next language. Now, while I'm learning abstractic in physics, I'm also learning all of this in Shakespearean and in philosophy language. So I've got metaphysics now, which, by the way, all of that is metaphysics. So now I've got metaphysics, physics, and abstractic. And those are my first 3 languages. I was 3 or 4 before I would talk because I just grunted, because I spoke energy. A lot of people don't know this. I literally was just, that's how I spoke, because I spoke energy. And then in 1988, I went and lived inside my mind. So I only conversed with the masters. I only conversed with philosophers. And in 2020, when I came out, I couldn't communicate. So it took me from 2020 to 2022. It was, I was finally able to get out of my mind. That's when I integrated. Well, no, I integrated in 2023. My core self was able to finally communicate with my alters. And then in 2023, I integrated. And then I did nothing but learn the language to translate abstractic into common language for the next year. And that's when I discovered 3 languages that are hidden inside of language. So you have the surface language, which is English. So we're all speaking the surface language. Underneath the surface language, what we then have is our perspective language. And that's what a lot of people do not know about. Now, underneath your perspective language, you have another language, which is your primary core language. We're going to call it your core language. My core language is physics and energy. Some people speak image first. Some people speak story first. So you have some people who speak story, and no matter what you speak, you're going to have to translate it into those things. So if you're somebody who has to draw when you talk, that's because your core language is art. Your core language is imagery. So if you have to doodle while you listen, you're translating it from the surface language into your core language. Now, if you have a teacher who won't let you doodle, oh, how's that for you? You probably won't understand. It's not that you have to focus. It's that you're translating. And then, see, for me, that's energy. So I have to translate everything into energy and physics in order to understand it. Meanwhile, I spoke music, but I didn't speak music as a musician with sound. I spoke music as physics. So for me, I used music to communicate because of the physics, because I was speaking in frequency. There you go. I speak frequency. which is why I'm able to translate all of this, is because I can see the frequency. There's the words. So then you've got people who only understand story. And that's why I'm a storybook character, so they can understand me. See, this is how it works. So I now come in and I present myself as a storybook character so that in story mode, because I'm outside of a moat right now screaming, I come from the abstract and I've got a message because I'm communicating with the story people. See how that works? How to communicate with the image people? Well, I'm on YouTube for a reason. See how this works. So I have to communicate to you in story, and I have to communicate to you in imagery. And I also have to communicate to you in physics. Now, physics I can understand. So if you're a physical theoretist, if you are somebody, a physicist theoretist, a theoretical physicist, that's the word for it, a theoretical physicist, then you'll be able to understand me. But the story people and the image people won't. So here I am, like this. So I am an ambassador from the abstract. And I know a whole lot of shit back there because that's where I came from. That's where I lived. And now I'm standing here at this castle going, I come in peace and I'm trying to talk to you, but I've got this massive language barrier. So in addition to, do you speak in image? Do you speak in story? Do you speak in physics? Now the next question I have is, what is your perspective? Because your perspective, there are 12 different languages that you're now speaking with. Now I'm only speaking to the 6th perspective and higher. So if you are into spirituality, you're going to understand me, I think, I hope. I think you should. Yeah, I think you should. So now I'm going, all right, so I have to make sure I'm speaking in imagery and in story, in addition to the physics, while also speaking in 6th perspective language. Now, I don't speak 6th perspective, I speak abstractic, which is the language from 9th perspective and on. So I got to translate that over into 6th perspective so you can understand me. Now, I can't even reach the 4th perspectives. The 4th perspectives, we'll get to that later. Right now, let's just reach the 6 perspectives. So now, and then this is all being done in the surface language, which is English. So this is like complex tiered language systems. This is why we have a language barrier. So I'll get into my work, and all my work is in natural abstractic. So I have a lot of people who follow my work and they're like, wow, this stuff is deep. Right. And they're like, how do you undeepen this shit? And I'm going, well, story would do that. Story would take the depth out of it. And maybe in little pieces. So ideally, I just need to get into the castle. So lower the drawbridge. Okay, so you lower the drawbridge. And now I'm inside the castle. Now we got to figure this out. Clearly, I'm here. Clearly, your person of whomever is going to receive this information. And they're going to be like, so we got someone here from the abstract who's trying to talk, but she's going. Blah, 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 blah. So now it's a matter of, how do I say what I need to say? I know what's going on. Simple. Simple. We're gonna do this simple. Simple science. Simple science for practical use. Simple. There you go. Thank you, Newton. Simple. I know what's going on. And I'm here to say that everybody who's spiritual is right. Now, you know this, but I got the science to prove how right you are. But there's a lot of things that are wrong. And I got to straighten it all out. And that's my job. Every one of us has a job in this thing. We got to call this thing something. Now, I got like 8 different names for it over there. I call it the age of authenticity. I call it the remembering. So we're going to call it the remembering because that's really what's going on. And if you want the science, it's all over on my website, unethical.com. But I'm not going to talk the science here, even though it's a science crack, because the science gets really, that's where I step into the physical, into the metaphysical. That's where I really dive deep into the shit. And my problem is not that. My problem is having to convert this over into story. So take me to your leader. Take me to your leader. That's what we need to do here. Take me to your leader. And so I get inside the castle. That's exactly what we need to do right now. I get inside the castle. Thank you for lowering the drawbridge. Take me to your leader. I come in peace. So I am then taken before your leader. And I have this thing to tell you, but I got to translate it from all the crap in my head. And I'm going, all right, I can do this. We're going to figure this out together. Because we got a communication barrier here. And it's a lot. So I got to present it to you in the right order of operations. Because if I don't, it's not going to make sense because, well, that's when I lose the logic. So I have to make sure I present it to you in the right order of operations. So we're going to start by, there is a remembering going on. And that's it exactly. We are all remembering. Now, I've got the past that I've got answers for. I've got the present right now. I've got the next 2 to 5 years. I've got 60 years. I've got all of infinity, and I can see the beginning of the end. I can see it all. And I got the science. And I can break it all down for you. So now I'm sitting here going, where the hell do I begin? That's it right there. So we're now going to like, and the queen of your land says, well, you see, you have a lot. And I say, yes, I have a lot. And why don't you join me for dinner and we will break bread together and drink and we will have merriment and we will discuss this at length. And I will say, yes, I accept your offer. And at this point, I would present to you like a peace offering. Well, I like bow with genuflect and I would say something like, I come in peace. And I would present to you the peace offering, which would be, that would be my radical global healing plan that I've got over at the Healing Garden for free. So I'd be like, go over to my website, honnesthealinggarden.org, and it's literally all my stuff for free. So you can actually train up. It's a healing accelerator. It's a pilgrimage accelerator. It's I want to upgrade my life accelerator. Only it happens really, really fast because I brought it from the abstract, which is from the future. I come from the future because I can also dimension walk because that's what I do. So I guess that would be a really good place to start. So we sit down and we're going to talk about this. So I'm at your table now and we're breaking bread and we're drinking together. And now I'm thinking about things like, I don't know. Excuse me. I got to think. And this is the part where I'm translating all of the stuff in my head into simple words. And it's a 4-part translation because it's going from physics and energy over into abstractic, over into sixth perspective, over into simplicity. I'm the queen of the darkness, and I am a subconscious mind whisperer. And I am the ambassador of the abstract. And I am a scientist, an ontological physicist, a societal solutionist. I am a philosopher bard. And I did a whole lot of research from 1992 all the way to now. And in 2022, I received the motherlode of all visions. And it was so both horrific and vast that I literally quit all of life and turned myself over to what I saw because I know what's coming. And what I saw in 2022 was a summation of everything that started in 1984. No, the irony was not lost on me. So in 1984, something happened to me that was so fucking horrific that I made a wish and it came true. That's another story. So that by 1992, my life took a massive turn into education so that I studied in the ancient Greek educational system. And the ancient Greek educational system was the master of true astrology. I think that is a really good place to start. You see, astrology is not what people think it is. It is 2% of its potential. I studied real astrology as Plato and Pythagoras taught it, so I know shit. And in 2022, after I had mastered divination and Plato's astrology, which is actually advanced mathematics and physics and science, I was able to make the same conclusions that Newton made in the 1600s when he predicted that all this would come to an end in 2060. I say it's 2080. So Newton and I are in a disagreement. That all being said, what I have to say is about the vision that I saw in 2022 and everything thereafter that I've built and that I have seen from that point on. And I think I would start my story right there. Yeah, that's where my story begins. May the kindest of words always find you.